Soak it in.
That is exactly how you start a week off, nice and smooth. You had a long weekend. Well, some of y'all had a long weekend. You should have had a longer weekend. Had an extra long weekend, a very black weekend, a very male positive weekend, and then you can ease into your actual week with a little us and some smoothness, baby. It don't get no better.
This has been the jam since like 2011.
As it should be.
Good job, guys.
It is. This is how you facilitate moments of peace in your own space.
You listen to Cherokee and you watch Cherokee, like it's a double dose. The
Absolutely.
group's name is Cherokee, so it's like it's just covering a lot of bases for you guys. Listen.
You can like turn the sound off on the Cherokee, but have Cherokee in the background to this.
That's
For certain environments that actually might work, depending.
okay. Wait, think of your favorite scene. Just hang on. I think some of the hubs work like YouTube, so you can slow it down. You're welcome in advance. Yeah, you can have like a little disco night to yourself.
Good. Or you can take like the non-naked ones and just put them like on loop, repeat, and have that as the ambiance in the background to an adult party of some sort.
Or if y'all are like a group or couple or that like watches together, it's a vibe. I just feel like we're
Absolutely.
facilitating like positive relationship
Positive.
interactions right
Absolutely.
Yeah, good job.
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with having nice sounds and then nice visual ambiance when you and your throuple are enjoying each other.
now. It's a like, I know everybody uses the word vibe, but I feel like if you look up vibe in the dictionary, like there's like a picture of it, like that's a good
Absolutely.
yeah, that's
Absolutely.
that's good
Absolutely.
shit.
I'm,
Good job,
I'm,
team.
I'm definitely gonna need. I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need that. I'll explain later. How was your Juneteenth and your Father's Day, sir?
It's black.
It's full.
Yeah, it was dope. Went to kick it with their father.
Hey.
He's funny. Like I appreciate he's actually more so like into he'll like, go and indulge in himself and like, find the things in life. But I do appreciate like his moments of like, yeah, I just don't feel like it. Cause in my
Absolutely.
mind I was like, we're gonna go eat. It's gonna be big day. I pulled up on him and he was like, I literally had told him, I was like, hey, we're going at this time. I'm pull up on you. I got there. He was like brushing teeth. He's like, I kind of want to go to the gym. It's leg day. I was like, serious? He was like, yeah. And I was like, instead, or like, he's like, we got food here. He's like, I've cooked. He's like, so we could like, because at first I was like, okay. First we go. I'm like, all right. So, I'm like, we can go to the gym. This is your day. Let's go to the gym. And afterwards, like, what do you want to eat after? He's like, I got stuff at the house that I'm marinating. He's like, you want to just, I was like, so we just go be at the house? He's like, yeah. He's like, you're here. He's like, I'm happy. He's like, that was, and I'm like, he's like, he's like, nah, I legit, like, this is like a really good day. I don't really want all the other shit. And I was just like, all right. And I was like, it was like a couple levels. I was like, that's dope. And I was like, also, you know, I didn't have to like break the bank or whatever.
Absolutely.
But also in my mind, I was like, this is about somebody who's, you know, for all respects and purposes, done really well. And he was just like, nah, simple shit is cool. I just want to like kick it with you. He's like, my son's here on Father's Day. We've spent the entire day together. He's like, yeah, I'm good. I mean, I did get him like a gift. I got him like some smell good. So he can be like smelling good. And apparently that was the one. He's like, no, I like this one. He's like, I like this brand. And I was like, oh, cool. Because
Everything worked out. Now, shout out to him for advocating for his actual needs and not like
yeah,
going
no.
along to get along. Like him being like, nah, I'm cool.
And we haven't like, and it was doubled up because like we've gone, but we haven't like, say if I like see him at the gym, we're like kind of in passing. We like did a leg day, and I was like, oh shit, we haven't like worked out together in a minute.
Right.
So yeah, it was like whole thing was like
Inclusive and intentional and what was actually wanted and needed. And shout out to him for advocating for himself. I will say, part of me, like, granted, this is your experience for Father's Day with your dad. That can't speak for all the relationships with fathers out there. But part of me wants to say, like, that shows that dads are a lot more like agreeable than moms sometimes.
depending on, hey man,
Like Father's Day is so much, since we're just now starting to celebrate it, like Juneteenth. You know, it seems like dads are a little bit more easy to please. It's like I'm just happy y'all remembered to celebrate this day for me. I'm glad.
I had that thought in general, like word to like my mom and my dad. Like my mom is real like she'll accept things now, but it's also like with her, she's been like really low maintenance, like just acknowledge, you know, we hang out, we enjoy, like they're really both big on like I don't really care what we do, but like they take the days like I want to spend them with their children.
Right.
But I have like just personally, like when I think about that sometimes with him, like it made me think just in general, not necessarily with him personally, but in general, like kind of like what I think you're alluding to is like the bar for Father's Day is on the floor. Where like you know what I'm saying? Like motherfuckers be like, I got mom, this, that, and the third, and I took out a loan to get my mom. And it said, and it's like, you know, dad gets like some socks.
And he's like, oh damn, it's Father's Day today? Damn.
Yeah, like, and I've noticed like my mom is even real big on that, like, you know, hashtag my parents are divorced, but they've always like respected each other's days. Like, and it was one time like we put like it was me and her like put in like to get him like this big because he, you know, he rides, like get him this big Bluetooth helmet, blah blah for like Father's Day. And it's like, yeah, like dope dad, like respect dads. And like I don't know. So I think about that a lot. Just like I like that now there's a lot of like posts stuff and I like the energy because I feel like there is still, and you know, I'm always skeptical of y'all because y'all be talking a lot and I'll be watching y'all talk a lot, but I appreciate that even on the day, at least some of y'all fake it, and that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, better this.
I can appreciate that. Like this year, I didn't see a lot of I have that about my aunt.
Yeah, I didn't see none of that.
I didn't see that this year.
I wasn't looking. I was actively not looking, but yeah, no, yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Shout out to y'all, man. Look at that growth and progression. I see y'all out there. You guys are doing wonderful things. I didn't see none of that this year. Wonderful.
Very happy. Bro.
Thank you. And that comes from somebody that was, you know, I was raised by my mama. My mama said the same thing.
Oh no, yeah, because I just like I know the internet, like the loudest on the internet are the worst, and it shapes forever.
Absolutely.
But like I always think back to I'm going off my own personal experience. I don't know. Okay, I'm not gonna say like conclusively. Obviously, let me throw somebody out there who's not the best. I don't know who. I really can't think of anybody off top. But I'm like, all of my niggas who are doing it, they're kind of doing it.
Right.
Like, I'm not even going old heads who like, you know, shape me. I'm going in my age bracket, all the ones that I know got them doing it well in a variety of ways, whether they're married, whether they're just girlfriend, co-parenting, whatever. I was like, whether it's 2, 3, then gave them 4 or 5, like they're showing up. And as far as I'm concerned, showing out. So I'm sensitive by proxy because I just couldn't even. That makes that I will say like days like this, like it was good because I've seen a lot of Father's Days that make me go, man, I will pull this and go for 30 seconds to shoot it on the ceiling before because nobody finna tell me I'm not whatever. And
yeah.
That I will say that is one thing that I have had to think over the years. Like, all right, man, just because I'm like, ain't nobody. I don't have it. I know that's one trigger. I don't have kids, and that's a trigger to be like,
right.
You're not gonna tell me I'm not.
I mean, it's a bit of a trigger for me, even though I did have like not just say my dad. I've had this conversation before on here and with my pops. Like my dad wasn't an absent father. He don't live down here.
Mm-hmm.
And he, my parents were very young, so he's even made his amends and admitting that he could have done things a lot differently. But all the guys that were his friends, those are my uncles. When he's not here, they were the ones that helped raise me. So I got to still see how men pick up the slack when there's a lot of narratives of how men don't. Granted, I've also seen and come from some not so great stereotypical male fatherly role experiences,
Yeah.
but that's the lower end of the spectrum. So it's always nice to be able to highlight dads the way as you and I both posted, as far as they're the most involved and they don't get highlighted as being the most involved. Black daddies. Black
Yeah.
daddies are the most involved in the house and out the house. That is a scientific study, and we don't have that narrative that has been shown. So, getting to a point, say, like for this year, where we're hearing positive conversation, or at least decreasing the negative conversation,
I'm not gonna lie.
I'll take
The
that.
bar is a little on the floor for me too. I just like that it was not a lot of whatever. Like, cause
Yeah, I'll take that.
I'll take, right about now, I'll take the he throws the ball with him and stuff. Even that narrative of like, which I'm not like a fan of, but I'll take it because I'm like, nah, man, like there's a lot of like dads that are like doing like the emotional stuff. And, like,
Absolutely.
it's like, like let's be patient, let's talk. You can cry, you can like okay. Speaking, I'm stepping outside of like black dadness. Comic books reference. So I've been watching the new Miss Marvel series.
Okay.
Cool show. Go watch it. Yay, Disney. And in there, she's getting her powers, blah, 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 blah. And she's a Pakistani character.
Mhm.
And blah, blah, blah. But the person who was kind of like kicking her in the ass is the mom. And you can already tell the vibes. They're doing a lot of like cultural stuff, but you can tell the vibes of the softer one and the one that she's more comfortable with is the
It's
dad.
pops.
And I'm like, fuck, even in the daddy's girl perspective, but I'm like, in general, like he's kind of like and I'm like, hey man, like cool for like, I'm cool with that role. Is like, I don't have any like desire to like come through and kick ass and don't fucking cry in front of me. I would be pissed if I'm like, you'd be like fucking like 40 something and realize, yeah, that I never told you because you never whatever. I'm like, well, that fucking sucks.
Yeah. I mean, I've through my entertainment, I'm having the opposite experience because I'm playing God of War. So you get to see how Kratos interacts with his son, which I can appreciate his approach. But yes, he's got the opposite of like, shut up, boy.
See, but I even like that because that's a whole story about a dude going from like, I've been murdering like my entire existence. And like by the end of the thing, he's like, I have to be like an emotionally available parent.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm like, oh, see, look, man, this is the hardest of dads.
Well, you get to see him struggle with that throughout.
Mhm.
That's what I can appreciate because you see in the beginning, I have to be this hard dude because I'm God of War. God damn it. Like I've been destroying shit for centuries. And now I have to not only be a good parent, but your mama's gone. So I have to be a tough single parent and juggle both roles by myself while also going through grief. Like the anger and frustration is there. I remembered one scene when I was playing the game. Like he was kind of chewing him out on the boat, and he's like, "Don't confuse my silence for not grieving. Don't make it seem like I don't care just because I don't express the way that you express." I was like, "I'm glad they slid that in there. It's a video game, but the fact that they slid that in there, this man has been killing for centuries, and don't confuse my silence with my lack of not caring or not grieving."
Fuck that video game shit, bro. That is a emotional journey. The
Absolutely.
entire game, lines like that, or even just the theme of like, okay, like his job is to obviously raise his boy to be,
A god.
but the boy himself is teaching him how to be like a human being and
Yep.
like how your kids can teach you stuff because there's a whole lot of things, especially like
He's his navigator. He helps us translate for him and all these other different things. They have to learn how to trust each other.
What's that stupid line? It's I don't know, man. Insert your parents' favorite line about like not listening to you and just doing what they say.
Right.
But like the boy teaches him things of like, I didn't know I was like a bad listener. I didn't know that I was very like harsh and emotionally cut off because do what I say, child. And he like throughout the thing, you watch like things he says that impact the kid. And it's like, yeah, man, you should have went back and explained that, but you didn't. It was just like, do what I say. And now the kid's
Right.
a dickhead.
But even him learning to advocate for himself in that relationship of like part of the game, you're like traveling from one area to the next in the boat. And he's like, tell me a story. He's like, I've never told stories before. And now he's getting his dad to tell stories, and even him saying like, "You're very bad at this, but keep going. I appreciate the fact that you're doing it." And you, but like the duality of like a unhealthy situation blossoming into a healthy situation, and giving it time and giving it patience, and two people having to adjust in the midst of all these tumultuous things. Those are real life scenarios that men go through, having to adjust from coming from one spot that is a little bit tumultuous to get to a healthier spot, and how that affects them both. We don't talk about those. We just talk about that 2% of negative.
Well, yeah, I think I like if I'm taking like even like little parallels that you can apply to your own life. Let me show you guys how you do that. So obviously in the game, Kratos is this hard knock, whatever motherfucker. Like the life he's lived has made him the man he is. But you know, people get to a certain age, you like, well, I'm this age, because some of us are doing it now. Friends of mine, we're barely 30. Like some of y'all are in your 20s that I know, and it's like I'm just the way I am. Let me tell you about 1,000-year-old God who changed because he had a son and realized, you know what, these tools that I have kind of suck. These tools are really great when I was 20. They probably weren't that great when you were 20. They were great for like the first 6 months, and then you probably should have adjusted them. But here we are, learning through his son, and by the end of the film, not the end of the film, by the middle of the game, there's a part where he's like sees how he's been acting has affected his kid, and he's like, wow, for lack of better words, like, this kid's kind of a dick. This kid is becoming like a wild dickhead off the things that I've said. And I should probably reevaluate that I was saying shit from a really old standpoint. I guess I should probably change it. And it was amazing because me and my dad have had that journey. Like what worked for him at like 28 and 30 worked for him. And as we've grown, he was like, you know, I've learned some stuff from things you said. And that's really cool. So I don't know, man. So, to wrap all this up, I don't know. I feel like y'all doing a lot of shit weird, and maybe you shouldn't.
They're starting to do less weird shit. So, like I said, I give some flowers to our society. We are trying to change. just a little sprinkle, a little seasoning, because the work ain't done. You know, we like to get complacent when shit get good, and then we just act like we don't have no more work to do. So no,
gotta lean on the flowers part, because where I'm headed, I'm gonna take a dump. So like,
oh yeah, I was actively, because going put back to that 2% that we do highlight. I experienced some of that, and I'll be blatantly honest. I was a little perturbed on Father's Day. Not from any of the men in my life, because all the men, friends, associates, families, otherwise, everybody's doing their job for the most part. There are some ugly stuff that needs to get sorted out, but I've had conversations with them and I understand. But there's one situation that I'm aware of that I'll vent and be honest. Like I wanted to punch Cuz in the face. Like I still actively want to, just to see how his behavior, like his Father's Day, and you don't want to see your child. You tell your child that you don't want to see your child, and you actively avoid spending time. Like he represents that 1% that we say like black dads are stereotypically. He represents that. And I don't know him personally. I just know of him based on how he treats his daughter. And I try to fill in the role of being a supportive, positive male role model. And the other people that I'm around, we try to be that for her. But to hear how some of the stuff he does affects his daughter, like I want to power bomb this nigga through a table. Like not the regular table, like the one with the nails on top of, like I'm talking about ECW Extreme Rules. I want to make him bleed, because it's not fair what he does to his child, because he doesn't want to be a man and get over his bullshit. It's upsetting.
So to that, I will say, yeah, I agree with you. Beat dog ass. Yeah, I don't got none of that. I don't got no balance for that part. I don't have any, you know, as hard as I like to keep my foot on the asses of everybody. I'm very adamant about that. Like I'm very adamant about just what that looks like, and having worked with the products of that, and like really, really good.
Working with the products of that, male and female. That's what upset, because we've both have seen both the female and male versions of what it's like to have.
See him tonight.
Absolutely. I have therapy with them and their adult versions and things of that nature. So we have this narrative sometimes. It's like black men don't hold black men accountable to not being the stereotype, which is wildly untrue.
Yeah.
Wildly untrue. And like I can't think of any if any of the boys that I know, whether really, really well, that I've known since elementary school or ones that I've known within the last handful of years, any of us, if there was an inkling that we were not taking care of our child, niggas would be down your throat, because that is not okay. So in this situation, although we advocate for men and fathers all the time, this situation, it was like, I can't advocate for this dude. I want to hurt you. And not even therapeutically. The therapist took a seat and was like, yeah, DC, you can go ahead and express how you feel about this. I want to hurt you because I see how you hurt this child, and it's not fair. And the fact that it's a girl is even worse.
I advocate strongly for the good. That way we can put some separation between them and niggas like this. And look, man, there's a lot of great therapeutic things, but I've been on here on record in a variety of ways, funny style, this style. There's, I don't want nobody like put in the ground or anything like that, but sometimes there's no substitute for a good old fashioned ass whooping. Like it really just, ain't nobody trying to, have some permanent damage, because I want you to take care of your kids. So
absolutely.
Even if it starts out as like, I don't want my ass kicked, somewhere in there you go, wow, this was something I was missing out on, and you should.
Yeah, I just want just a little tune up, just a little act right. That's all. And I'm willing to continue giving you a regular tune up and some act right until you actually start to act right. Because it's the story and me being in the middle of seeing it unfold and supporting the family in the midst of that is not like, y'all really, I'm supposed to be off today.
Yeah, no.
I don't get to be off because you want to be, for lack of a better term, since we're not the other show right now, for lack of a better term, you being a pussy ass nigga, man. You being a bitch ass nigga for not stepping up and doing what you need to do to help take care of your child on Father's Day. If nothing else, it's a lot of ain't shit fathers that this the one day they try to do good. And this is the day that you just, I don't want to be around you today. Me seeing the messages and seeing how this child is reacting, I want to hurt you.
Yeah,
so I had to get that out, because I don't know him personally and I don't really know what he looks like. But if I find out and I catch you in the streets, I might stomp your motherfucking ass just because your child deserves better.
Yeah, see, because I'm very like, I don't want to say lenient, but I try to be understanding of that is not an easy job. Mom, dad,
not at all,
uncle, whoever, caregivers. So I'm understanding of trial and error. Everybody here is a product of trial and error. Like you over there, your parents wasn't perfect, but they figured it out. Like you showing up and like this is one of the hardest jobs ever. I'm gonna show up and but motherfuckers who just you just said nah. Yeah, you're nah. You're weird.
I can't accept it. I can't accept it, especially on a personal note. Like my nephew's dad, he's trying, not the greatest representation, doesn't come from the best circumstances, doesn't have the greatest of this and the greatest of that, but he cares enough to where what little I do have and what little I do know, I'm trying to get better and I'm trying to give it. And this is somebody that comes from the stereotypical household and is trying, in the midst of trying to get his shit together, still trying to be a present father, and you having way more and way better don't for something that has absolutely nothing to do with this child. Nah, I can't. There's no way that I can justify that behavior.
No, yeah, kick bro ass.
So
I mean, be careful. We should maybe plan this out, but like maybe.
No, I'm not expressing that there is an intention for me to find him and beat him.
Right. It's like if anybody up there want to put some miracles out there,
do you believe in magic?
Yeah,
but yeah, that didn't sit well in my spirit, man. It didn't sit well in my spirit, and I just. For people like us and for lots of other good Black men out there that are trying to change certain narratives and stereotypes that surround us that are not beneficial to us or our community, to come across the stereotype that isn't even trying is very upsetting.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a fan of those who just take weird pot shots at dudes and shit, but that in no way means that I'm here to defend the shitty.
No.
Yeah, if you're trash, you're trash. I'm here to I'll die on whatever hill where represent good niggadom is, but yeah, I'm not here to make excuses for weirdos.
Not at all. Now that did make me, we won't have enough time to jump into it, but it did make me think about how I need to hold other men in my family accountable, because this is also the first Father's Day that my uncle's going through without a child, which sucks. There's a lot of conversations that goes into that. It's like, damn, even having a conversation with my grandmother, it's like, yeah, dude, I've been letting niggas slide on shit because I'm peaceful and agreeable and understanding and all these other things, but where I should have advocated for more, I need to start doing that. Even me, somebody that's approaching, in my mid-30s, approaching my 40s, even I still have some lessons of like, yeah, I need to be more advocating in that regard.
Yeah, that's not, I will piggyback off that. I know that's not like a rabbit hole I'm gonna jump down today, but overall, overall, and just I've had that in various aspects, just little moments where it's like I still have to figure out the balance between, because I'm who I am here. I'm not lying to y'all, but I get my performance on a little bit. So this is where I kind of get my shit off out the week, because in general, I be in the house, I be in whatever. So I know that like my general disposition is very like calm, cool, collected. But I realize, that can give a bit of, hey, like you hitting the gas a little hard on this, like it's a lot of rope. That doesn't mean you have to take this rope to the fucking end. Like, just because I give a lot of rope, you could easily stop tugging on this motherfucker halfway through.
Right.
There's nothing that says you had to get all the way to the end of the rope. And then when I remind you that you've gotten to the end of the rope, now it's like, well, yeah, I did not notice you. I just was very okay about how you maybe I should take on a little bit of that. Hey, you at the 50, you at the halfway point of that rope. Just so you know, you are at the halfway point of the rope. You have taken 75% of the rope. Now, I just want you to know it's not a lot more rope. I don't know how else.
I think it goes quicker, like saying being at both ends, when you have people that are misusing the rope and taking too much from it, and then you have people that are ignoring the rope altogether as a solution or a resource.
Commercials coming up.
Commercial.
Yeah, I'm gonna remember, because and if you don't know what film, bro, like, what have y'all been watching? That's a complete sidebar, but like,
it's okay. We're gonna go to commercial break. We'll be back with our next segment of the show. Enjoy all these sponsors here for TGN Radio. Support them.
It's wild stuff. On the way back.
With our next segment of the show. Enjoy all these sponsors here for TGN Radio. Support them.
It's wild stuff. Way back.
Hey, Jackie, what's wrong?
I'm over here running around trying to tell everybody about the Podcast Pit.
What's the Podcast Pit?
I'm glad you asked. The Podcast Pit is an event where you will find some of your favorite podcasts performing in front of a live audience.
Will there be food and drinks there?
Of course there will be. It's at Joxer Dailies in Culver City. They have a full bar and a full menu.
Hey, I may need to tell people about this as well.
Yes, come with me. Let's tell them. The Podcast Pit is coming. The Podcast Pit is coming.
Jones, also known as Zach, the original Black Ranger. Hey, and make sure you're checking out TGN Radio. Hey.
Peace, family, brother Reza. I'm here. You already know I'm checking in with TGN Radio, Black owned. So you already know that's where I'm at. Tap in.
Are you trying to buy a home, car, or make other investments and being discriminated against because of your credit score? At credit909.com, our professionals can help you remove judgments, student loans, child support, medical bills, and other erroneous and negative items on your credit report. Call 800-752-9763 today for a free credit analysis and consultation, or text credit to 909-688-5461.
Hey there, business owners. Don't miss our limited time offer. Advertise on the Good News Radio as low as $2 per commercial slot. That's right. Promote your business up to 4 times a day, every day for a month on live radio. If you're interested, email us at contact@tgnradio.net. Once again, that's contact@tgnradio.net.
Hey, beautiful people. It is the baddest bitch on the block, Eric Devante.
And it's me, Kelvin Unique, and we are the Get Right Radio Show.
Here on TGN Talk. Are you going to church on Sunday?
Hell no, I'll be right here live at 10. We got all the celebrity entertainment news with my favorite segment.
Bitch, you better read.
And of course, I'm going to get you right and get you out that door spiritually with some Uniquely Speaking.
Oh, I need it. The kids need it. And this is why y'all need to tune into us every Sunday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. here only on TGN Talk.
Hey, my name is Jasmine Sweets, and I'm so excited to be bringing you The Sweet Spot on TGN Vibes, Good Vibes, and R&B. Playing the old school, new school, and in between. I'm coming to you this summer. Stay tuned.
Are you happy with your life, money, career, or relationships? Most people are frustrated with how life is evolving around them. What if you could change one thing to turn your life into a different direction? Would you want the insight? How could you transform your life with intuitive awareness? Learn more. Get answers today. Book a free discovery session with Coach Zena, intuitive transformational practitioner. Go to www.coachzena.com or follow on Instagram, coach.askzena.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl, Mysterious Jax from Ladies Night Radio Show. That's right, the entertaining, fun show with cheese and hot topics and just all girl talk.
Indeed. Thank you to all our wonderful sponsors here. Again, make sure that you support our sponsors that are supporting to this wonderful project that is TGN Radio.
Hell yeah. Can I get a hell yeah?
Can I get a oh hell yeah? Make sure you guys support those sponsors. So, your dump.
Oh, so it's part of my usual thing. Like, part of it is just in general, I always am like, what y'all mean by that? And then secondly, you know, we kind of search for topics and just look for things that's going on in the community.
We don't even have to look that hard.
I don't, because y'all give it to me. I swear.
Y'all
and
give us so much to work with.
It's really like it's a good 6 or 7 of y'all I know is gonna give it to me. And then, you know, usually it's just the feed of the internet or whatever. So I was listening to I was gonna make a different type of like post, but anyways, I was listening to like some Patrice, and he made like a statement. He's like talked about sensitivity. I'm like, you know what, I am sensitive to certain things, because I was looking at this video and it was one of these reels, and it was, you know, black couples, and in general it was the shit, and it was my type of shit. It was chilled, it was in the bathtub naked, it was really nice, and it was sensual. But the quote said something along the lines of, when you find your soulmate, they will know how to deal with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a lot of posts like that, because that wasn't even the worst one. I've seen another couple posts, and there's always something about when your partner knows how to deal with you, knows how to handle you, knows how to corral you in the bullpen of your insane. Like, that's just,
hey, like, just asking, when you come across these posts, who are normally the people that are posting?
Do you know what I deal? You know what you deal with as you grow? I deal with chronic back pain. I deal with migraines. I deal with, you know, like my bad knee that I hurt when I was in school. I deal with my chronic illness. Like, that's what you deal with.
Right.
You support and you know, are there for and love your partner. But words are powerful, and I'm
Absolutely.
a big advocate of that, of like how you say things, what you say. And if you can't say it or don't know how to say it right, shut up until you kind of figure it out, because maybe you are at the genesis of a thought and you have to kind of flesh that out over just what you say, but how you process the idea. And this idea that like, and the thing is, like, women don't like that shit either. Like, that love is this endurance game. There's a difference between like your partner teaches you and you learning lessons, and they just whoop your ass emotionally, physically, whatever other way they can whoop your ass, and that is some determinant of love. Like, damn, yo,
that's super unhealthy behavior. We don't realize how, like you said, words have power. So I've had this conversation, not as it pertains to relationships, but we think it's like some pseudo spiritual, quasi fake woke shit when we talk about like words have power or word spells or whatever the case is. But it's true. Like, I've had conversations with my clients recently, one of which going through grief and trauma, things of that nature, and they're talking like, you know, I've learned to accept this. I've learned to accept. And I was like, no, we're not working towards acceptance. Acceptance is it's a hopeless and disempowered frame of thinking when you just accept something. And I use the analogy of, you got a flight to Paris. You know, we can soul plane it. You want the chicken or the beef? Well, I want the chicken. We don't have no more chicken, so you're gonna have to take this beef. You have to accept that, because there is nothing else left. You are powerless in that situation. You can't go to the terminal and grab something different if you don't already have snacks. You're going to be on this flight for a long period of time. I have to accept this or starve. That is acceptance. That is not an empowered situation. You learn how to cope with and work through other circumstances which may not be favorable. So yes, your grief is something that you're coping with and you're working through, but it's the same as it pertains to relationships. There may be some aspects of this relationship that I am coping with or enduring and working through, but this other shit over here, deal with, I'm not dealing with anything because I am not disempowered in this environment. I am not worthless or powerless here. I have the right to advocate, to speak up, to change, to influence. That's what I'm going to do, to deal with you. You are okay with me learning to deal with you as opposed to working with you to endure a tumultuous spot in our relationship and make it better.
That's usually my question, is like, and obviously, you know, you can't change the other side. I'm very big on like, you know, you work on you, you work on yourself, but we're here now and I'm going to get this content off. We're going to have these conversations.
Absolutely.
And you know, even the acceptance part, I'm like, I'm on acceptance as far as like, I cannot change like the weather. Right. So like, you know, but the things you can control, you can do that. And so when I see posts like that, I'm I'm also very like, sensitive is my word of the day. Sensitivity. Like you said, words have power, and I'm and like you said, spells and all. I read up on those things, and I believe in those things. I usually don't stand on it because, you know, I like to be the funny dude, but maybe I should more often. But when those things are said, I don't like it because as much as this space is now becoming even just popular, it's taking things and manipulating them to serve your arrogance and ego, and nobody's doing it. If the idea is to do the self-work, then you challenge your ideas. They should deal with you. And it's like, why are you saying that?
Right.
Like, what do you mean by that? That's the whole reason behind even the title. What do you mean by that? Because it's presented as if, as a man, you're supposed to just endure your partner. And it's like, bro, is that what you want? Because as somebody who's, you know, you're in a loving space, I think about love across relationships, but even if everybody love their mama, because everybody will try to find a way to sidestep. So let's move from partner. You love your parents. Love for your parent or for your child eventually oftentimes comes out as a selfless act. Do you want them to deal with you? I hate the idea that my mom has to deal with me, that I show up and she's like, fuck, here this nigga come, but because I love him so much, I'm gonna just take 10 pounds of his shit. That's abusive. So why would the person who, you get to choose your partner, you get to choose who you like run through life with, why would you find something and go, got him? That don't sound a little evil to you?
Right. This is supposed to be the best case scenario. So the best case scenario for me, that's taking away your own empowerment. How feeling like you're settling. My best case scenario is somebody that has to deal with me, partly because the reciprocal. Do you want to deal with things from me? Do you want to deal with things from yourself? You wouldn't deal with stuff if you were the one that was receiving it. So why do I have to do the same? Now, the caveat is a lot of people do. A lot of people don't hold themselves accountable to changing certain things. A lot of people are dealing with certain things that they have the power to change that they are not actively working towards. So yes, in certain regards, they do deal with themselves. They do deal with those kids. They do deal with this. They do deal with that. So it feels good to have somebody that's willing to deal with me. But who's working to like actually make it better? Because you're going to deal with something so long that, well, this is what I deal with. So now this is what I have to heal from. I just make the wound bigger and bigger and bigger.
I think it's counterproductive for both sides. If you're being dealt with all the time, or you're the one who's dealing with the person or whatever, at some point the relationship or the situation looks like I'm just catching shit the whole time. I'm catching, oh shit, we're putting something together and I'm just catching bullshit the whole time, as opposed to, hey, this is a difference between dealing with and like, hey, I realize you laying that brick wrong. Let me help you learn how to lay the brick right. Now I don't have to worry about you laying the brick like that before. We'll get to some other stupid shit when we get to the roof of this, or when we get to putting the furniture together. But right now we fix this part, and now this thing continuously grows. We could have 57 different problems on the way up, but dealing with you sounds like We lay the brick fucks up, the house falls down, then we have to start this whole process over and over. We could have had a 27-story building by now. But because I'm dealing with you and your fuck ups and I'm never going, hey, that's not working. You're not a dickhead. You just don't know how to lay a good brick. Crazy thing as your partner, as being able to pick up where you lay it, where you fucking lack. I know how to lay a brick. What I don't know how to do is install windows. Crazy thing, I found a motherfucker that can do windows. See how that works?
Even if I don't know how to lay a brick, we can find somebody who can, or we can work together to fix it. But that is recognizing that there is a problem and being solution oriented. Dealing with is not being solution oriented. Dealing with is avoidance, which creates resentment.
It's immature. It's clean up my mess.
It's lack of emotional intelligence, lack of self-awareness, lack of awareness of someone else's disposition. It's avoidant. Like I said, it's avoidant behavior. If I can deal with the fact that we got 10 kids, I can deal with that. Sure, you can deal with that, but does that mean that all kids are getting the nurture and support that you need to give them? Does that mean that they are giving you the love that you would like to have as a parent? No. You are not powerless in these situations. But even for like we mentioned earlier, as far as advocating for your needs and speaking up and changing for it, there's a lot of people, I won't say it's just men, but there's a lot of people in general, they don't advocate for the fact that I don't want to deal. I'm just supposed to deal. We adopt the narrative, or we adopt the identity of being the person that just has to accept or deal with something, and we don't have to, which kind of reminded me of the post I sent you as far as like the family going on the trip and who's going to take the blame for ruining the trip. Why is it that the men they're dealing with, you're dealing with mom, and we're dealing with everything that she does, and we're taking the blame for it. So we're enabling her because we deal with her and her things, and we even are willing to take on the identity of being the bad guy, when really the bad guy is the one that's telling us that we're going to end up ruining some shit. When like this, no, it's you. You're Lex Luthor. You're the president, and you're the one that's blowing shit up around this motherfucker too. Like, it's you.
I start writing down my thoughts because I had a whole
It's okay. It'll come back to you.
I had a think piece the other day about Lex Luthor, and like just coincidentally, like it was in a relationship context that I was thinking about the show. But first,
Lay.
Welcome,
Lay. Thank you for listening.
Gang. I can agree with that. The statement of dealing with something equals avoidance. Bars. And I looked at the thing you sent me. I looked at that post of black whatever the fuck I just said.
Like travel.
Yeah, the black travel thing. And
you're gonna pull it up?
Not even just that one. I was gonna pull up where I thought that I saw this a lot. I saw this on a couple pages too. You sent it to me, and I saw it on two other pages. And I thought about the correlation that gets to this, where it was,
when a man does not feel appreciated in the area of his presence, he becomes a version of a man that he can give you and still survive. And I promise you, you will not like that version. That version of him is silent, frustrated, sharp with his words, short-tempered. How many of y'all been getting that lately? Non-communicative. Because he has to become something that he can survive in. And a man
now
he has to deal.
I see that now, even right now, like on the little spiritual word, it's hush, sir. It's 90,000 reposts. It's a bunch of comments, blah blah blah, and it's like for me, I know instantly my first thought was being dealt with turns you into that dude. Mm-hmm. That is I would say if there's a series of reasons of how you get to being that guy, having to deal with a partner is how you become that dude.
Absolutely.
And then I think I just looked at a comment, and I'm not going to talk about whoever this person is. And it was like, it's on him to communicate. But if you have to deal with the person, I feel like innately in that person is an inability to communicate. Because again, my favorite line, talking is not the only side of communication. People are talkers. They say a lot of words, and it's like, who does it? Manipulators, bullies, fucking politicians. They're great talkers. That's not communicating. If you're not going, hey, let me listen and then adjust and change, because that's the second part. You communicate. On top of, after you communicate, there's this part where you have to change and adjust the behavior.
Right.
If that nigga says, look, man, I am feeling just whooped down every time I do this, we do A, B, and C. If she's saying, I feel like I can't talk to you because blah, 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 then you listen, you adjust, you go, you know, I see your point, and then y'all make the behavior adjustment, so on and so forth. You do the trial and error until the puzzle pieces fixes. That's the part where you deal with your partner. You deal with, we're going to have a little bit of a rough patch while we're trying to figure it out. But if figuring out just means I'm going to be something that you have to deal with, and you just figure out how to deal with me, then yeah, I deal with you by not talking to you. Because every time I talk to you, I deal with you by not engaging in these and these activities. Because in my mind, every time we do this, this happens. So I'm going to go ahead and that's how you have these hollow ass relationships.
Dealing with is weathering a storm. Like what you express as far as communicating effectively, that's safety. That's empowered. When somebody is willing to communicate with you, that means they feel empowered enough to advocate for themselves and know that they will be heard, seen, validated, and get the same in return. It's a safe environment for us to do that together. It's collaborative. That's communication. Talking is what we do naturally. Communicating is what you do when you feel safe. So when we talk about someone dealing with someone else or dealing with a certain circumstances, that doesn't equal safety. There's a lot of people in our community that deal with living in the hood. That don't mean they feel safe there.
That'd be where my frustration is. And I know that I'm projecting like my own thought process on others.
No, but it's valid.
That'd be where, like, when I see that shit, I'm like, how does nobody see how this shit sound? The same way that video that we made like a couple weeks ago where the nigga was like, granted, I can understand what he meant, but I'm gonna make these jokes, but he was like, nobody know your daughter is 15. Why didn't you think twice before you said that? Even if that's not what you meant, you know how that sounds.
Right.
So when you come and be like, if they're not doing whoop, 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 and then the next post is if a man says, and I know everybody be trying to put sex in something weird, but if a man comes out and says, if she not sucking the fucking and letting my homie see her titties, then I don't even know who we could be together. You're a raging fucking weirdo misogynist, my boy. And they're not gonna, and it's not up for question. But if you make a post that says, and the words sound cute, like I'm deserving of a, I don't know what y'all using now. I'm deserving of a soft life. If it's not serving me, I whatever. If it's whatever, hey, what does serving you look like? Like, what is good for you? Like, what do you need? Because what you're saying is, that sounds like a kid to me. Essentially, if you're not giving me what I want, then you need to go. You might need some vegetables. I'm not finna give you a bowl full of, Skittles. You need broccoli. That's what I am. That's what I'm here to do. That's my actual spiritual and whatever occupation as your partner. Now, what you keep asking me for is a bowl full of literal sugar wrapped in whatever the fuck. And I'm like, well, today all I got is carrots for you. That's what you, fuck, it's not what's serving me. What's serving me is German chocolate cake. All right.
But that's love. That's love and care. And that's what we mistake. We mistake somebody enabling or dealing with us as love, which is not true. Someone saying, hey, no, that's not okay. Someone calling you out in bullshit. Because essentially when somebody says something and you say, well, you need to, that's gaslighting. Since we like to use gaslighting against men quite often, we don't realize how you can be the perpetrator of said gaslighting by not realizing, as our comment that's about to come up says, listening without judgment is a major part of communication. You're not listening. You're not communicating. You're deflecting. You're avoiding.
And you have to listen with the idea that you are the fucking thing that needs to change. I'm not listening to you solely so I can rebut what you say.
Absolutely
I'm
not.
not listening. You know what love looks like? Let's take it out of romance. Love, you know what love used to look? Some of my most loving experiences was, wow, I went out to a party that weekend when I shouldn't have. We got a game coming up. And I haven't, practiced or ran. Love looked like picking me up and at the bottom of this giant hill saying, get out. And you're going to run this hill every day this week because I've seen you not take your athletics seriously. Love looked like I got like 2 C's in a class that I should have been acing, and I came home and like my system was unplugged, the TV was unplugged, and I barely was able to wear like decent outfits to school because what you doing this for? That's what love looks like. That's what was serving me, because it served me into starting, and it served me into probably got like an A- out the class. That's what served me at the time. And that was genuine, unfettered, that was love. That was love like a motherfucker. Yes. Love didn't look like, well, that's what you want to play, so let's let you play till 3 a.m. when you have to get up at 8. Love didn't look like it didn't, it serves me to eat 2 doubles. No, nigga, it served you to eat this oatmeal in the morning.
Accountability. That's why you got an A. That
Y'all
A
are grown.
That A is accountability. Love looks like telling your wife, I don't feel like doing fucking TikTok videos our entire vacation. I want to relax.
Here we go. I don't typically like being called out, but I appreciate it. It actually helps me most of the time. That's the bag, man. Like
that is love, care, and support in its most genuine form. If something is dealing with you, as opposed to holding you accountable and challenging you in healthy ways, because there are ways you can be challenged that are full of shit. But if something's not challenging you in healthy ways, that's not love. So I've been, your daddy, he been putting up with me and dealing with me for 30 years now. I feel sorry for that man.
Y'all have to understand that is how is that a selling point? I've been wondering, I swear I have wondered that since high school. I've never understood the selling point of, because
they've been together for 30 years and they still dealing with, we still together. It's one of them situations. If you don't know what that is, I know there's one of you, I'm not going to call you out. I know you don't know what that is. We'll work on that.
Like self-reflection is a big part of the thing. When I say like, look at yourself as a villain, you have to start challenging and adjusting and just flat out throwing away older perspectives or things that work for you. They just don't. They're not meant to stay with you forever. All of them aren't. So the idea that like you in no other aspect of your life can somebody just say, well, it's still running. I don't want that car. Give me the one that I mean, look, man, it's been working for me. All you got to do is if you hit that switch like this and you kick the wheel, it'll get you where you need to go. Do you like driving that car? It's why the hell would I drive that? Why wouldn't I just take it to the mechanic and fix that needs to go? I'm not gonna keep trying to figure out how to work. Throw it out. I need to throw that out.
Dealing with it is what fucking Pimp My Ride used to do to people back in the day. Like, oh, you came in here because your car is falling apart at the seams. Here's a popcorn machine in your trunk. You know what? Did you fix the alternator? No.
There we go.
So I'm supposed to deal with this still?
I can ride that analogy to the hills to the fucking wheels fall off. I need to fix the transmission in this car. By the way, it's a basketball court in the back. I don't need that. I don't care about the trips. I don't care about us taking more cute pictures online. This transmission is still fucked up on this car. We didn't fix that. Yeah, but did you see the new wheels? Dog, hang on. Let me sit down real quick. The wheels weren't the problem. They're nice. That's cool. But like, I cannot shift in this hole.
That's just something you have to deal with. That's an equal trade-off to be able to have these brand new rims. It's bullshit, which makes you do exactly what Kenneth is sharing.
Oh, that's the line. Hang on. Being called out is legit the worst, but it definitely helps in the end when it's coming from a place of care and improvement.
My question to that would be, well, 2 questions. 1, why is it the worst? Why do we not feel comfortable with people calling us out, especially if we can, you can dive into it and ascertain that it's coming from care and improvement? We are quick to say a lot of things are judgment when it's not judgment. It's somebody holding us accountable or somebody calling us out. Why do we feel uncomfortable with that? But we feel comfortable with the enabling, the dealing with. We like that. We'll support that. We'll look for that. But we don't look for the actual love of calling you out when it's necessary. Why is that?
But I think right there where she's like, it hurts, but it's not that bad. But I think that's, for me, it's self-reflection. Like, I know that it's at this point occupational hazard and like reading on stuff and studying stuff, but being like genuinely honest with yourself and going like, why you say that? Where did that come from? I don't like that. That's just like, nah, man, that's an ego statement. It might not sound all like burn, 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 blow your horn, but that stemmed from ego. That statement came, you don't like what that person said because it put your blah, blah, blah on Front Street. Same thing I'll be saying to other people, like you can use it for yourself. That did not feel good because it doesn't align with your, no, man, that didn't feel good because you was on bullshit and then bullshit was called out and now you feel away.
But when you understand the difference, you can decide which one feels better. Because somebody enabling me, that hurts. Man, I'm kind of going through this. You'll be all right, man. Just go ahead, just chill in the house. Go ahead, man, have to smoke you a blunt, get you some food that ain't good for you, have you a drink. You'll be all right. You forget all about it. That's enabling. That doesn't feel good. Somebody that comes to you and be like, hey, no, you on bullshit right now. You need to do this, and this to get better. I'll support you, but you got to get your shit together. Hey, you know what? You're right. It feels good to hear you say that because that means that you care. When you understand the difference, calling somebody out and letting them know that you recognize where they may need to make some adjustments to feel better, that I know that that's love. I take that.
True. I'm just usually the big bad wolf. So when someone says something, I can huff and puff and argue my point, but I understand the point of your care, and that's why you're doing it. I mean, but even that right there to me, like I can huff and puff and argue my point. You know
who's going to enable you.
Yeah, in the moment I'm doing this because like that's a moment of like, that's when I say like the self-reflection. That's a moment where you go, I'm really just saying shit because I don't like. That's a moment where those growth moments, that's where like I should shut the fuck up.
A bully doesn't always bully because they're capable of bullying like physically. Sometimes the bully just bullies people because they know that nobody's going to draw that boundary.
This, and we got 1 minute. I agree with it. This is why being dealt with is, I think, should be fear number 2 on the black men list behind cops and above heart disease. That's why men boil to death on the inside. Because that deal with shit, to me, you think Pop died because he ate too much chicken? You think Pop died because he was Pop died because grandma has been fucking standing on that nigga's left hemisphere of his brain, just stomping on that shit for 30 years. And he died because he was just stressed. He died because he went to work at the mill for 40 years doing 12-hour shifts and came home, and this thing was peace. He couldn't even spell it good because he didn't understand what the fuck y'all talking about.
He looks so peaceful in his coffin because he's free.
Yep.
He's finally free. We got these commercials and we will come back and continue this conversation. Thank you for all of y'all enjoying the chat right now.
Y'all are fire. Commercial.
Conversation. Thank you for all of y'all enjoying the chat.
You're seriously watching porn by yourself? Oh, wait, that's the wrong script. Oh, that's right. I'm here to talk about the Primos Chidos radio show, live every Thursday at 12 from the TGN Latinx station. Make sure you tune in for some laughs, maybe some crying, and definitely some stupid takes. I'll see you guys there.
Sundays just got sweeter. The Hub Radio presents First Sundays Open Mic, hosted by Hub City Dre, DJ Gamma Ray, and the First Sundays Band. They're inviting all singers, rappers, comedians, and poets to show up and show out. Sign-ups begin at 6 p.m. Sundays Open Mic will take place every first Sunday of the month. It's just $10 before 8 p.m. and $20 after, so arrive early. The address is 1135 East Compton Boulevard. That's 1135 East Compton Boulevard in Compton, California. For more information, follow them on IG at First Sundays Open Mic.
Emmanuel Jones, also known as Zach, the original Black Ranger. Hey, and make sure you're checking out TGN Radio. Hey.
Peace, family, brother Reza. I'm here. You already know I'm checking in with TGN Radio, black owned. So you already know that's where I'm at. Tap in.
Hey, Jackie, what's wrong?
I'm over here running around trying to tell everybody about the Podcast Pit.
What's the Podcast Pit?
I'm glad you asked. The Podcast Pit is an event where you will find some of your favorite podcasts performing in front of a live audience.
Will there be food and drinks there?
Of course there will be. It's at Joxer Dailies in Culver City. They have a full bar and a full menu.
Hey, I may need to tell people about this as well.
Yes, come with me. Let's tell them. The Podcast Pit is coming.
The Podcast Pit is coming.
Hey, Michael, that's a dope-ass shirt. What is that?
You know what it is. I only rock the Flyers gear, and the Flyers gear can be found with TGN Radio.
Where did you get it?
tgnradio.net. Go onto the page, click TGN Shop Store, and you can get everything you need.
I'm getting mine right now. Make sure y'all do the same. Go get your TGN merch. Enjoy your show.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Alex Himes from Courtside Radio. We'd love to have you tuning in every Monday and Thursday at 6:30 p.m. right here on the Good News Radio Network. Don't forget to tune in every week, people. We'll see you then.
Are you single and ready to mingle? Well, you may not be, but now here's your chance to purchase an all-new 30-day journal, Single and Not Quite Ready to Mingle, a 30-day journal to make the most of your single season. It's by me, Chanel, co-host of Brunch with Besties show. You can purchase your journal right now on Amazon by typing in Single and Not Quite Ready to Mingle. Now is the time to do the work. I'm rooting for you. Go ahead and purchase your journal now. Single and Not Quite Ready to Mingle, a 30-day journal to make the most of your single season. Are you ready?
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you this ratchet announcement. What's up? It is Kelvin Unique, one half of the Get Right Radio, the show that happens each.
Sorry, guys.
You had the Scooby laugh.
I tried to get him like halfway before it was like. I don't know who times it, but it just like every time it comes back, it's like, hey, you're right. I know it's like programmed or whatever.
It's okay. To Get Right, they love us, so it's only right that they make an appearance on our show somehow, some way, every episode.
It's like my top 5 favorite like chaotic show. It's them. We don't make. Pretty much Cheetos is in there just simply for content alone. Like listen to their show, but just like, yeah, those are my top 3.
And then the other versions of us.
Never Not Extras in there, but that's like I feel like that's cheating. That's like said without being said.
Yeah, I mean,
I just put them in like the.
They're our sister podcast.
Yeah, listen to Never Not Extra by proxy. Listen to all of them. I don't know, man. I can't say this enough. Be like, I'm looking for something to listen to. Like, press the app and just it plays.
Just let it roll. It's 24 hours. There's always gonna be something that you can listen to. So we appreciate you guys diving into these comments and sharing your thoughts and feelings. Let's look and see some of the ones that we may have missed before.
Not over here.
Not over there.
They just listen over there.
Over there they just be riding and vibing, which I appreciate. Thank y'all to the listeners on the app.
This is the honesty I like to see. True. I know who I can get away with it. Who I can't.
Absolutely.
I'm not a dickhead for no reason. I be doing what you. I mean, not you. I'm just saying like, there's more evil use. I'm not even putting you in.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's not nowhere near the worst.
I know what the hell I mean. What you mean by that? I do it for. I mean, that's one thing I think I'm gonna work on. Because I'm not trying to like. I don't think it's so much just imposter syndrome. I just be trying not to be a dick, but it's like I do this for a living. I know what I'm doing. Like
yeah. I that's what I'll say that within the field, that's what upsets me sometimes in my personal life, because although I do struggle with my imposter syndrome sometimes in the field, there's also that other side of me that's like, I know what the fuck I be talking about and what I recognize, and you trying to make it seem like I don't know what I'm talking about. That's upsetting.
I'd be like, look, you're just angry. I figured that out, and there's literal multiple personalities over there. Stop playing with me, bro. Like, what you mean?
Absolutely.
Like, relax.
Appreciate you, Ray, for sharing your thoughts and perspectives. Let's see. You've been called out from a place of envy and adjusted based on that to your detriment. It makes trusting the intent difficult until you know it means well. I can appreciate that transparency. Here's what I'll say to that. And that's something that we don't often pay attention to when it comes to, like you said, self-reflection. The key word is self. That's a you thing. That's not a them thing. Oftentimes, somebody's intention when they approach us is their intention from jump. It's not that they did something to show you that their intention is coming from a trusting space. I came here to be trusting. My relationship with you has been trusting thus far. I have a track record of trusting things, most likely. You had to arrive within yourself at a point to where you can perceive it the way that it's being intended. And sometimes because we don't let ourselves have these types of conversations, we don't allow ourselves to hold each other accountable. We don't allow each other to listen without judgment, as you stated earlier. We don't get the ability to learn how to recognize intent from jump. We can recognize the negatives when it comes to intent. Like you can recognize real quick, I mean, that nigga just want to fuck. Like you can pick that out real quickly, but you can't pick up when somebody is being harsh or calling you out or holding you accountable in a way and be like, I don't know if you're trying to be mean or if you're trying to be supportive, but I'm going to lean towards the mean because that's how it feels right now. It's like, but you're misinterpreting the intention. That's a you thing. That's not a them thing.
And I can take some of that for, presentation is one thing, but like, you can add in logic with your, emotions. Because it's like, where does this, I don't know, where's the end goal of this? If I can kind of like, take a step back, be a little objective in this, and I kind of see if I do this, if I listen to you do this, this can give me, a result that benefits you in this, that, third way. And then you kind of listen and play the field. But it's like, if somebody's saying something, it's like, I hear that could be a possibility, but like you said, my track record shows like, why would I do that now? Like, why would I just saying that so you can, I did it already.
Why would I come in here and flip the table over to be an asshole when I've never done that before?
That'd be to me, and see, that's where I be getting like doubly frustrated because it's like, I'm not an ass. You're actively, that lets me know what I said didn't make sense, and you're choosing to disregard what I said by throwing out some wild scenario.
But I mean, one of the words that was used in that comment is important: trust. Some of us, it's difficult for us. We have trust issues regardless. So it's difficult. Yeah, all that. It's difficult for us to understand certain things because we don't trust. But we carry our lack of trust from other situations, or from maybe one situation. Out of 10 situations, this person did something that I may not trust or that made me distrusting of them. And now I'm judging everything that they do and say based off that one interaction and disregarding all the other situations. Or they're a brand new person. Maybe I haven't built that rapport with them yet. Maybe I'm still getting familiar with them, but I'm going to lean towards my bias of not trusting because of whatever else I've been through, as opposed to leaning towards, even if I don't understand. Hey, what you mean by that? If I don't understand, or even if part of me says I have a trust issue and part of me emotionally wants to distrust this, let me not lean on that. And let me just, clarify that for me, please. Just so I can understand, because I'm trying to get familiar with you. I'm trying to learn what this means. What did you mean when you said that? Can we dive into that a little bit more? Like, are you trying to hold me accountable? Or are you trying to call me out? If you are trying to call me out, is it positively or negatively? Like, inquire.
And I'm big on still, even with that, the other side is calling yourself to the table, because if somebody explains it to you, but you haven't really worked with yourself to go, it don't matter. Like, if you're in a space, just admit you're in a space and damn near step back, because you can't hear what this motherfucker said regardless. They could give you a 10-slide PowerPoint breakdown of this is what it meant. And if you're geared towards, they said some shit that I don't like, it don't matter what the fuck they say.
Absolutely.
Like, at the end of the day, you still have to have enough to look at yourself and go, am I even coming to this from a space of understanding, or am I coming at this from a space of I'm going to communicate, talk a lot, so I can say my side, because I'm kind of just worried about my side. I'm here to respond. I'm here to really
I'm here to be heard.
Yeah.
Not really communicate. I'm here to be heard. Because for some people, and a lot of men understand this in relationships, you just want to get your shit off and not be interrupted. You don't want to solve anything. You don't want to communicate. You don't want to do any of that. And then they get upset when the dude is just sitting there like, yeah, okay, all right. You ain't even listening to what I'm saying, because this is how you've been approaching me. You don't want to communicate. You just want me to sit here and take it. You want me to take blows until you don't feel like swinging anymore. And then you feel better and you'll have your remorse phase and come back later and say, I'm sorry for getting upset. I just feel like you don't be listening to me when I. So this is a 2-part ass whooping that I'm just supposed to sit here and take because you don't actually want to communicate, which leads to me, as Kenneth said, boiling on the inside because I don't have a safe enough space to actually communicate my feelings.
And that's why I say like things like a catch-22. Like I've never been a real big fan of the idea that like men don't communicate. I just think men don't talk a lot because like say there's two dudes and they have an issue, they communicate very well. They might take their time to go. Obviously, I think that also comes with the usually underlying theme that if this goes too far of a way of disrespect, there's an idea that I'll kick your fucking chin off. So we should probably talk about this respectfully. If you're coming in to go, I'm here to squash the issue, this doesn't need to be 45 minutes, 10 minutes. Hey, DC, man, I thought that the other day when we were doing this, whoop, 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 it made me feel this way because I thought you was whatever. You go, my bad, man. I really meant this. I see how you could come off that way. Those conversations can be 10 minutes. I've been a man, you know, by my definition of a he, him for somewhere going on my entire life. And I've had these conversations in a variety of ways going on my entire life in more and more mature phases. So there's moments where, and I've had these interactions with men where it's like, this conversation should be 5 to 10 minutes and we kind of squash it, not washing over it, but this really is not that big a thing. I see, bro, contemplating and coming back, you want a problem. You've heard it and you've set in your mind, I don't like what you said. I don't want to accept my side. So I'm going to make this. But see, here's my thing about what just happened. See, the thing about it is, or what's that shit that y'all be posting about? You text her cool. Well,
I just think it's funny how
that shit is indicative of you don't know how to communicate. You're not a communicator because you just want like, what? I'm finna change my number. Like I'm finna get a burner phone and move to Nicaragua.
I'm not
like,
changing my number. I'm just not going to be reaching out to you, and I know you're not going to do the same thing because you know.
But that's what I'm saying. Like shit like that. Like, and it ain't no other way to like for me to describe that. Maybe I haven't worked that skill, or maybe I've just cracked the code to life. If you just are not going, you know, maybe I'm really trash at this. Like maybe I'm just not good because. Honestly, if Darrell can't communicate, Tim can't communicate, Marcus can't communicate, fucking Aaron can't communicate, Ahmed can't communicate. Like you jumped out the game, and Chan can't communicate. Nigga, it's you. What are you talking about? That's not niggas. Like that's you. He's a PhD student.
Right. I'll challenge even what you said a little bit because you like men don't talk a lot. I think men are some of the greatest talkers and communicators in the world. They just don't feel safe enough to do so with you. Men talk a lot.
How do I say it? Maybe I should clean that up because I agree with that. Just not frivolous words. I will talk. Obviously, we've talked for over an hour. I'll talk for 4 or 5 hours where it's like a good conversation. Right. But if it's just like, if it needs to be said, I'm very much so influenced by older individuals. Like I'll talk to a nigga who's 65 forever because there are times where he might not talk for 2 days. Because if I don't have nothing to say, fuck are you talking about?
That's part of the stereotype. Like an old black man gonna give you a lot of game, has a lot to say, is always gonna try to give you gems here and there. He can talk. He knows how to talk. He wants to talk. He's willing to talk. He's willing to share all this knowledge with you. Men know how to talk. Men know how to communicate. They just don't feel comfortable communicating with you, which again is a you thing, not a him thing. Now there are some men that can't communicate. But ta-da, if you keep choosing, as you stated, keep choosing men that can't communicate, it's probably because you can't communicate either. And you haven't come across somebody that can, that's challenged you. Or if you did, he's not the one you kept around because he got on your nerves.
I will shoot. I'm not going to shoot Justin Bale necessarily, but I'm going to bring in the other side. Because, hey, my brothers, this is the issue when it comes to I will do any, all, and everything, backflip, handstand in pursuit of.
I'll cook your dinner too.
In pursuit of le gluteals, because you were sitting at that dinner table. You were sitting at that dinner table. You were sitting in her apartment when she was at her place. You were sitting there and you were like, wow, I would rather grab these chopsticks and like shove them up my ass and snap them than listen. And it's not that it's this particular conversation is not good. Like, it's a skill set being like, oh man, like I've been around the homies earlier and it's like, you know, you ain't really saying shit. And you know what? You kind of accept like, I'm not really saying anything interesting or I'm not making this sound interesting. Cool. Then you learn how to tell a good story. But y'all niggas who sat there and just been like, if I listen long enough, if I just hold out, I can.
If I deal with her long enough.
And that gets us here. That is a behavior that just.
Because we enable. That's what we do more times than not. And that's where we as men fuck up, because we enable as opposed to challenging in healthy ways. Because there's a lot of men that challenge, but they challenge it because they want to manipulate some shit or assert some type of power dynamic. We ain't talking about that. I'm not talking about establishing dominance in the relationship. So I'm challenging you to put myself over you. I'm not talking about that. There's a lot of men who don't advocate and be like, hey, I'm not talking about that today. We talk about this every single day. And do you have a solution for that? You don't have a solution for that. Do you want a solution for that? You don't want a solution for that. So why do I have to sit here? No, listen, does that have anything to do with our relationship? No, it doesn't. So stop bringing that in here. I don't want to hear about it. And that's not me being a dick. That's me drawing a boundary, being honest and saying, hey, this is not okay. This is your behavior. This is how it makes me feel. And it's not okay. This needs to change. Or the opposite of that, you can have a response, kind of what Lay put up here. No, we're only talking about this once. Don't nobody have time for that. You might have to challenge and be like, no, we haven't gotten this right yet. We need to continue exploring this until it gets better. Just because you talked about it once and that's your threshold for comfort doesn't mean we're going to stop talking about it, because you still suck. You still suck and I'm still dealing with it, and neither of us is comfortable. So there's something that we both have to continue to do until we make it better.
You can explain to someone how they have offended you, and then the person doubles down on not understanding your POV on how you were offended because they had a different experience. How do you move forward?
Okay. I mean, it depends on the circumstance, but I'm saying, are you trying to get them to understand their point of view because you want to have a mutual understanding, or are you trying to get them to concede to your point of view?
Yeah, like if they don't understand your point of view, that's one thing. If they offended you and didn't understand, they could maybe apologize for how they offended you. But I guess that also depends on both of you guys having an understanding of where the other side came from. Now, if somebody said like, I don't know, man, fuck you and fuck what you going through or something like that, that might be a different thing. But if they're saying this happened and you're saying apples, if y'all are comparing apples and oranges, I don't know that that's like a apology situation. That might be a misunderstanding.
And that's where that's why I said the conceding, because a lot of, especially when it comes to intergender conversations, we're trying to one up each other. Sometimes the resolution is that we don't have to agree. You see it this way, I see it this way. We don't agree, and we respect each other's opinion, and we move forward. The wanting them to apologize or see it your way, that's conceding. You want them to come over to your side, and they may not be wrong. In some situations, they are. But we have to mutually decide and understand what is best for our experience. Yeah. Sometimes it may be, I feel offended, but are you feeling offended because it's a you thing, or are you feeling offended because they came in trying to be offensive, or they weren't paying attention to what they were saying, or they didn't pay attention to your perspective? They are dismissing your perspective and could care less about it, and they don't care that they're being offensive. Then okay, I can understand you wanting to have yourself be understood. But if you feel offended because you can't control your emotions in that situation, that's not their fault.
Yeah, I guess it depends on because I guess that's the part that's like, I'm trying to make sure that I cover properly, because it's like how someone explain to someone how they offended you. Some of that is personal. Some of that is, if they said something rude to you, person doubles down on not understanding your POV. If they don't understand your POV, I don't know that that's just a misunderstanding. Like, unless they're just like, man, fuck what you talking about. Like, then that's disrespectful. But if you're like, this happened this way, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm seeing it this way. Like maybe explain it to me how you're seeing it. And then even in that, there's a potential that if your point of view, I don't know what to say, should be adjusted, but I mean, both parties have to adjust their point of view in some capacity. That's the mutual part. Yeah, like somebody goes like, that motherfucker was being disrespectful or rude, or it's like that person didn't even see you, or that person,
right?
Can't believe this motherfucker, bumped me in the store, like they didn't see me. They didn't see you. So your point of view is that they disrespected you in the store. Their point of view is they literally were looking up because they're trying to see where the whatever t-shirts are at the top thing, and they didn't see you and bumped into you.
Right.
That's not, I fuck you, bitch. That's, I didn't see you. I'm sorry. So I guess that depends on said situation.
Yeah, I think it'll be just like, say for instance, our relationship as Black people with white people in this country, that is them being offensive and not understanding our point of view and not trying. you're not going to get an apology. But they're and stereotypically, not all of them, but stereotypically, they are trying to be offensive while making it seem like they're not being offensive. That's where you are warranted an apology, but you're not going to get it. As opposed to this culture and this culture, say for instance, you know, whatever, Black people and Puerto Ricans or whatever, like we have similarities between us, but we have different upbringings, so we don't really understand each other's point. Like, you grew up in a different country, you don't know my experience in this country. So you're saying this based on your limited experience, I'm saying this based on my limited experience of your point of view, and we're just not going to completely understand because we don't have that realm of understanding. So how do we both shift our point of view? We agree to disagree and we move forward. Nobody has to apologize because you're not wrong for your expertise, I'm not wrong for my expertise. We just agree to disagree and we move forward.
Yeah, I think there's understanding your point of view, understanding, trying to as best you can the context of the other side, and kind of going in, if you can, both sides, like not making it personal, or maybe not having conversations that, you know, and everybody's working, I know I'm working on that, not having conversations that are like, I'm really like personally tied to this. So,
Right.
you know, like, and knowing who to talk to, like I'm big on not having conversations. Like, I'm not finna talk to Nazi person about race. Like,
Right.
I like that we're on opposite sides of the fence and I just know where you stand. There's no reason to have that conversation outside of this particular show. If you catch me outside, man, and you want to go, so I want to talk about this with men, hell no. Because you catch me on the show because you already have come to me and let me know you finna say some wild shit that I already don't agree with. So we just, whatever you think about it, you right.
You're coming to me with a bias and you're expecting me to concede at some point, and I'm not going to. So I would just rather not have communication with you at all.
Yeah, I think that's something on both sides that people need to discuss with understand with any of these conversations. If you're trying to bend somebody to your will, then, you know, I just feel like that's why my thing, one of my favorite lines is like, let's just go ahead and go to war. Because I don't want to pretend like we're having a conversation. I know I'm, as a dude, I have that dude thing where it's like, yeah, I don't like the caddy. To me, that gets into a caddy room. Like, I know what we're doing. Let's just go ahead and
Let's get straight to it.
Yeah, let's set it on fire.
We missed a couple. We gonna have to go back.
Shit.
It's okay.
Not trying to one up. If they were offensive in their response when your POV was presented.
Yeah, is that a you thing or is that them actually? You can present your point of view and that doesn't mean that they're going to agree. So is that you feel offended because of your personal feelings, or they are actually being offensive? They're not obligated to agree with you. None of us are obligated to understand and agree with one another. If they don't agree and they have a different perspective, they don't agree and they have a different perspective. You are not obligated to getting an apology for that.
Agreeing to disagree is a skill. There are people who will always choose not to understand as long as it's not the way they see the situation. I mean, that's true. And that's kind of where, like, you know, if you know, some people you just can't see coming, but if somebody is dedicated, like if you stuck on stupid, man, that's not my job to pick you up off it. Like, you know, you say, you know, you stay on that side. Like, and also, like, you got to be big on looking at your perspective. This is my POV because, I don't know, it's, for lack of a better word, righteous, or if this is just something that serves me. It can still be a POV, but I think one of the first steps is going, this is my POV because it serves some other, maybe lesser part of myself, serves my ego, serves my insecurity, serves whatever. If that's what's fueling your POV, if you can tell yourself this is a POV from like a righteous area, then I almost don't give a shit about talking, because I'm like, I'm saying this from a space of blackity black. I'm saying this from a space of I believe whatever in relationships or in life or in whatever. To argue that, in my mind, I'm like, I didn't say nothing really crazy. I'm straight. I don't really gotta.
It's going to be more draining for me to have this conversation with you than to just let it go. You got your opinion and I got mine. And some people want that out of you. Some people want you to invest that amount of energy to really go to those links. And I ain't got it in me.
That's I think when talking about intergender issues, you receive it from a defensive space.
Absolutely.
That's true.
That goes back to what I said earlier in Ray's comment as far as that trust. When you are already operating from a bias of not trusting people or not trusting certain situations, say for instance with your comment, your POV is rooted in that lack of trust. And you're expecting that other person to clean up the fact basically, I want you to reword your statement in a way that takes away all the trauma that I've been through before this conversation that is contributing to my bias in this conversation. That's not their job. We have to check ourselves. Am I being defensive, or is this really an issue? And if this is an issue, how can we communicate to solution oriented? How can we rectify this situation? How can I communicate, but also actively listen, and we find a middle ground? If it is a me thing, you know what? Sometimes I may be the one looking for an apology, and I have to be the one to apologize, not for what they said, but like, hey, you know what? I came into this with a certain bias or a certain perspective in this conversation, and I apologize for putting that on you. That's not you. That was me.
It's true. Getting to it today, unconsciously. See, unconsciously is correct, and I think that's where you have to. And I don't have no time frame for it. I don't even want to just. I'm going to obviously say, like, it's help. It's to go out and get help, to get somebody like a trained mental health professional to help you kind of pull out some of these unconscious biases, because people do run around thinking like, that's how I am. This is my mindset. This is whatever. And it's like, we as a community, but a lot of people turn bad traits into personality traits. Like, that's not you. That's like your unconscious trauma. And however you might not have even realized this was how you grew up. This was what you're used to.
Absolutely.
But these experiences may not have been that great, or they could have been not so bad on paper, but how they perceived and shape you, it turned you into a bit of a dickhead in this particular area.
Especially if you're not accountable to them. Like, white supremacists think they are 100% correct and justified in their statement. Conservatives think they're right and justified in their statements. Christians, in saying that Jesus is the God and all this other stuff, are justified. Muslims saying that Allah justified. All these people have different perspectives where they feel like their perspective, their point of view is justified in being the perspective, but that's because it's shaped from their previous experiences. That doesn't mean that they are 100% correct. You feel it is your truth, great. But it does not mean that it is. We have to be able to dive within ourselves to deal with these biased approaches that we expect other people to be unbiased and apologetic for.
No, I'm trying to wrap this up in the last
Go
30
ahead.
seconds. No apology necessary because they meant what they said. I'm saying, how do you move forward when someone says something offensive? You have to that's like to me, that's some self-work stuff. If they said something offensive and you are just super sure that it was like terrible, fucking venomous stuff, that's one thing. Having an understanding, and it depends on who this person was. If it's somebody at the gas station, fuck them. If it's somebody you care about, then having the wherewithal to understand your perspective in that moment, your POV and their POV, and see if it was more of a misunderstanding, or did this person go out of their way to go, let me stab this motherfucker in the face. Like, that was what we done on the fucking thing.
Yeah, we done on the app, but on here, don't do what Leia's talking about. That's gonna get you. Don't do that. Just keep pushing.
Don't do that.
Don't give any time or lay hands so they know better. Don't do that. She knows. She knows not to. Don't do that. Don't do that. Leia was on our show last week. If you missed it, she had some very good conversation. Go back and watch that episode. But yeah, she just being facetious. Don't y'all listen to her, because that person that Kenny said is boiling on the inside, that boil might manifest into an external if you're doing that with the wrong person. And next thing you know, Homer and Bart. You don't want to.
That's the only way I'll end this, man. Is like the onus is at that point upon you. It's not like it's not to place blame, but if you have to look at your part, and maybe this person is not a bad person, but if you are in a space where your perspective is above theirs, I'd say even that, then it's incumbent upon you to go, they don't understand where I'm at this space. So if you're going to deal with them, then this is one of those moments where you allow them space to come and, meet you. If maybe your perspective was off, but it's time, that's more of a reflection thing. Because if they offended you, that's a personal thing.
Right. Or even what Ray is sharing.
Determine if continuing the relationship is worth feeling the resentment you may have towards them. That's also a thing. Like,
Sometimes it ain't.
you know, reflect if that person was being offensive for real, if that's a perspective thing. And if they was being really fucking venomous towards you, shit, man, you might need to say, fuck that motherfucker. Oh, God.
Sometimes you can agree to disagree and still not continue the relationship. Like, all right, you got your perspective, I got mine, we respect it, but we don't need to communicate further. And it may not even be that either of you were being venomous. It's just like, nah.
Yeah. I mean, shit. Gandhi had person like that's shit. That's,
Gandhi hated black people.
unless you're having a conversation with God himself, that's gonna be a thing.
Yeah. Nobody is perfect, and that is the point. Even like you said, if you feel like your perspective is above theirs, none of our perspectives are above anybody else's. We're all just on separate learning journeys, and we may have different perspectives. We are all imperfect.
But I would assume, and I've been trying to wrap this up forever, that if it's unconscious bias, then either y'all hold space to make those unconscious biases conscious and figure out how to deal with them or be rid of them. And then, you know, search through yours. Like, you know, was this person saying that if y'all both got different POVs, if y'all are not understanding each other's point of view, then the offense might be more of it's painful, but still a misunderstanding. It's different than DC going, I love red shoes. And I go, fuck those red shoes. I understand his POV and I purposely attacked what he meant. If he goes, man, I love running shoes. And I go, yeah, I'm a fan of Vans. And he goes, so you don't fucking like running shoes? I know what I said. We're having two different conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, bye.